In the name of God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, amen. Last Sunday I was asked by one of the young adults in the congregation how we can know, how can we prove that God exists, is real. And it's a question that I think we should address some time to for the whole parish. There's this idea that we can use our reasoning, our philosophizing, in order to prove the existence of God and His simplicity, and that one day, after we pass this world, that we would be able to see Him truly as He is, face to face. And to a degree, that's true, and the coming world will be able to do that. But there's a little bit more to it than that. We can see God and know that He's real today, here, right now. And this is kind of what sets the Orthodox theology of God apart from other confessions of the Christian faith. In particular, today we celebrate the memory of St Gregory Palamas on the second Sunday of Lent. We continue this celebration of the Sunday of Orthodoxy from last week with St Gregory. It's done like this on purpose because we have now shown another side to our theology, not just the theology of images and icons and the Seventh Ecumenical Council, but now we see St. Gregory presenting this theology that was always within the church, but that he made crystal clear at several councils in defending the faith. And what is that theology? It's very complicated, but I'll try to sum it up a little bit. It goes like this, that God, who existed before time, is unknowable to you and I in His essence, and who He truly is. We cannot know who God is. He's incomprehensible to the human mind. We have no idea. But God also reveals Himself to us. And in His divine energies, we can really truly know Him. We can know exactly who He is, and we can feel His presence with us. We know that God has revealed Himself to man in the Scriptures and to the prophets throughout times, and that He continues to reveal Himself today in the presence of this church, when we're praying to Him, when we receive the sacraments, we receive this grace, we call it, but it's really an energy of God. And what Gregory says, St. Gregory, who we commemorate today, he says that energy is uncreated. Sometimes you're going to hear this uncreated energy. It means that it wasn't something that God concocted and sent down upon us, a supernatural feeling. And sometimes we see that. The grace of God, right? We say that by the grace of God. God sent down a blessing upon us. He showered us with a blessing. And we're in a special relationship with God. He's blessed us. And that's the grace of God. That's not the grace of God that we talk about in the Orthodox Church. When we talk about the grace of God, the energies of God, it's not something that God created and sent upon us. It's uncreated. It is God. It is truly God. And so when we partake upon these sacraments, when we are feeling the presence of God in prayer, we truly can know God, because that is truly God. Not in His essence, we can't comprehend Him. We can understand Him in this grace, and we know that He's present with us. And so, to answer that question, how do we know that God exists? Well, we have the Scriptures, and we have the experience of all the saints that came before us, and those who actually dealt with Jesus. They had an experience with Him in this world. The prophets had an experience with God in this world. And so we can take their eyewitness accounts and the Scriptures, but our personal experience is really how we know. We know that God is real and God is with us because we can feel His energy. And His energy is really God. That's what St. Gregory would teach us, and this makes this distinction between other Christian faiths in the world. And so we must be left to say, but I still don't feel God. Despite I took the sacraments, despite I pray, I still feel like I don't know if God exists. I don't feel Him near me. How do we answer that? It means to do it more. It means we have to pray more. If you look at how a boulder, a big rock, is cut. And some of you know, because when you do construction work, you know that it's hammered away like in a certain spot, generally. And it can take 100 strikes, take 1,000 strikes. It can take 1,000,000 strikes before that boulder cracks. We don't know when, but you have to keep striking it, and eventually the rock will split. The rock will cut in half by just the consistent again and again and again of hammering. And so likewise, this is our hearts. Our hearts are encrusted in rocks. It's like a shell around our hardness. We have this hardness of our heart because we're so in touch with the worldly side of this life that we've been given. We're in touch with those people that are unbelievers that seem to influence us more than even those within the faith. And so we have this hardness around our hearts, and so we have to pray, brothers and sisters. We have to receive the sacraments. We have to go to confession. We have to read the scriptures. And each and every time we do this, it is a blow against that rock that is sheltering our heart, that is covering our heart. And each time we do it, again and again and again, we feel like we're getting no progress. We feel like God is not near us, that we're doing all this effort and God is just not around. But if we give up, we're never going to feel it. We're never going to know because we give up. Because we keep on striking. We keep on praying. We keep on relying on God alone. Our hearts will break. The crust around our hearts will break. Just like the rock that we hammer away on that splits. And we don't know how many times it takes. So we just have to keep going. And so this is the path to knowing that God exists and how we can really truly experience Him is to work harder. And God will be there. He just wants us to keep walking towards Him. And if we do that, brothers and sisters, it'll be well worth it. We'll know God in this world, not just in the next, in this world. Truly, St. Gregory would say that the light of Mount Tabor that shone around God, the uncreated energies that shone upon Him, that we hear in the accounts of the Scriptures, is possible for you and I, even. Possible for you and I, because we can have God dwelling within us. Truly God. And His grace is truly God. And it's here. It's not somewhere in heaven waiting for us to discover it. It's right here with us. Okay? So never fall for that notion of the devil telling us that God isn't real, that God doesn't exist, that you don't feel His presence, and so He can't be real. What you need to do is push those thoughts to the side and continue to do the prayer rules. Continue to confess your sins. Continue to receive the sacraments. And then you're going to feel an overwhelming presence of God in your life. And not only in your life, but in the life of those around you. They will feel God. They will know God because of who you are. St. Gregory, as he was going to enter into the monastic life, his whole family converted to monasticism. His whole family, his mother, his brothers went to Mount Athos with him, his sisters, everybody in his sphere of influence in his family, because of his dedication, his extreme experience of the grace of God, chose to follow him into monasticism. How many of us can say we have that kind of influence in our family, in our personal family sphere? That we are so dedicated to a life in Christ and to prayer and to being close to Him and feeling that energy of God within us, that even the people that in our household and close to us follow us in that zeal. How many of us can say that? Very few. No one really, probably. But that's what happened with St. Gregory. And so he tells us, and we honor him today, how we truly can know God. How truly God exists today in this world. And that we can be just like Him and experience the radiance of God, truly God, right here today. So let's reflect upon Gregory. Let's reflect on the theology of the church that we continue to celebrate in the second Sunday of Lent. And let us be dedicated to hammering away at the hardness of our heart, through prayer, through sacraments, through Scripture, so that we can experience God. And just possibly, our our family, and those around us experience Him too, because of our efforts. In the name of God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, amen.